Okay, greetings, dear Virgo. That's you. This is Tarot Lumination. It is your February 2019 mini love and relationship generic report for February 2019. I just said that. Okay. You know the routine. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising. And a lot of people, some people, watch for their Venus sign too, if you know that stuff. Now, cards are already well shuffled in advance. Before we even get into it, what I'd like to do is show you something here, okay? This is an illustration about the Tarot Illumination Crucible spread, okay? I know, just bear with me, please, okay? We're going to lay out the cards, and here, 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 and here, and here, and one over here. And the whole idea is that I'm trying to give a visual understanding of why I call it a crucible spread, because from Tarot Illumination perspective, there's you, there's the other, and a third entity called the relationship, okay? And a lot of people, of course, they mostly just operate like this, you know? So you can do that if you want, but there's so much more going on here. I like to know what's going on deep inside, and think of this as a living thing. A crucible is a bowl type structure which is designed to withstand intense pressures in alchemical relationships and situations as we intimate and separate inside the relationship. So we need to know what this is about over here, and what is being fermented here, what is being grown, because you own this, okay? So it's like a business. I say, what have you, it's a living, breathing thing. You're always transmitting and receiving energy, and same thing with the other, and same thing with the relationship, okay? So we need to allow for that, all right? Now, before we get into it, actually, let's just get rolling here, okay? Cards were well shuffled in advance, so don't worry about that too much. We're going to go to the very last second so that you're a witness. Now, you know, this is going to be an odd month, okay? It's going to be a very wobbly month. I'm just letting you know. What I would recommend is that you check out it's a whole other playlist. It's for the Tarot Illumination Astro Doodles, and that will make a lot more sense about what I'm saying, okay? And it will really shed some light on the love and relationship reports. Now, coming out of January, everybody was dealing with the reverberations from the big eclipses, and at the very end, there was the Leo Aquarius eclipse, and fine. And now we're moving into basically Aquarius season. There's going to be a new moon, but right towards the middle, sort of the second half of the month, everything shifts and the sun moves into Pisces pretty much the same time as we have a full moon, okay? That's when the moon will be in Virgo while the sun is in Pisces. So it's a maximum opposition. Pisces season, which will come in the next report. You know, it's kind of awkward the way astrology cuts it up mostly in like 2/3 of the month, whereas humans measure it in terms of what they call calendar months. But anyway, we tried our best here. So towards the end of the month, there's going to be a big shift in energy as the sun moves into Pisces, your house of maximum opposition, okay? So please allow for that. I'll show you on a, you know what? I'll show you right now. Stay there. This is the Astro Doodle. I'm not going to dwell on this too much. You've got Pluto, Saturn, and Venus down here in Capricorn, in your 5th house of true love and relationship and fun over here and romance. But that's a lot of very heavy energy. So you could be going through very deep transformations. Over here, this is the date that I'm really concerned about, February 18th and February 19th, okay? So that's the start of this whole new chapter in terms of relationship. You could think of it as a whole year-long chapter that's just being exposed and opened up here. So please be very, very aware that you're going to meet, they call the 7th house the house of marriage and also the house of open enemies. There's nowhere to hide because they're right in front of you. They're dead opposite you, like just sitting at a little cafe, staring at each other across a tiny table. You can't get more in your face than that. So please allow for that. So everything will be exposed, all the good stuff and all the less than good stuff, okay? But that's not going to stop us. No. Okay, so Virgo, let's have a look, see what's going on here. So picture that little doodle again in your head, and you'll see how it translates onto the deck here. Okay, Bless this little deck. It's done thousands of readings, literally, and it has still more life, but eventually it's going to be retired, auctioned off. Bless every single card in the deck. Bless you, Virgo. Bless Terra Illumination. Bless the whole platform that we can even do this at all. Over here, that's you. What are you radiating, Virgo? Think of yourself like a smartphone. Ding, ring, 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 ring. Over here, what are they radiating? Over here, deep down inside of you, what's going on? Deep inside of the other, and at the core, the relationship itself. And over here, what is being nurtured? What is being fermented here? Now, we're going to look. Okay, so can you see the crucible here? This is the structure. This is the bowl in which you guys intimate and separate like we all do. And a really healthy relationship has a very strong crucible, and both parties are invested in the relationship like it's a family business. Okay, and they look after this thing. They don't just look for what they can gorge out of each other. Okay, now we're going to look at the bottom card in the deck, and I'm thinking that is circumstantial energy, environmental influences. I like to call it the weather, and we have the Three of Cups. So it's very sweet energy here. In other words, it's like there's something going on outside of you. My feeling is whether it's in your home, your family, your work, your environment, your day-to-day life, just the world around you, that you're getting, let's say, it's not too gentle. It's kind of in your face. I would say it's like the weather, I call it the weather, is very conducive for celebrating the love that you do have. Okay, whatever that is. Okay, and it's something that it's verging on that needs some ways needs to be declared. Okay, it isn't just about you and the other and the other and you. There's something going on here which needs to be shared. Okay, the love that you have, Virgo, needs to be shared and enjoyed and spread around. Okay, that's what I'm feeling is the message from here. And let's just go for it. Okay, what are you radiating? Okay, so Virgo, if you've been very, very patient and you've been kind of like, I'll almost say like working behind the scenes to get to the point where you could have something to celebrate, and now you're starting to see evidence of this happening, you're starting to see yourself as like, wow, I'm not doing too bad. I'm a Virgo. I have my issues and challenges, and I'm still, let's say, at the very early stages of my own like, evolutionary growth and so on in love and relationship, but also in my whole life. But there's very clear evidence that I, Virgo, am getting what I deserve, number one, and a little bit of what I want. And that's very cool. That needs to be celebrated. That could be very quiet and subtle. You could do that on your own, but this, my feeling is that it's almost like, I feel very awkward saying this, Virgo, but it's like you need to get in touch with the other party over here and let them know that you're aware that there's something really good and sweet that you guys have. And, maybe you should go out on a date. Maybe you should go out on a dinner date. And when you get to the club or the restaurant or the cafe or something like that, you actually, I mean, this is going to sound really corny, but what I'm doing is I'm picturing you going up to the, you going up to like the barista or the maitre d' or whatever it is and saying, hi, I'm here. Hey, I need a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or a little snack or dinner with my so-and-so over here. And just so that you know, we're out to celebrate tonight because we have something that needs to be celebrated. So it's kind of like a date night for us. And the host looks at you and kind of goes, okay, well, yeah, that's what a lot of people do here. And it's just, I wanted to let you know, I just want to let you know we're having a date night. And they don't even know who you are. But it's something that needs to be celebrated openly, to the wide world. Not just like you guys cuddling up somewhere. Okay, let's have a look. What's going on with them? Okay. So, Virgo, my feeling with the Queen of Swords here, like a lot of people get really scared when they see this card in a deck, in a reading, especially from the Rider-Waite Universal. Okay. Now, I don't particularly see it that way. what I see here is that there's a little bit of a reckoning that's going on where the the other party is seeing things in a very from a very different perspective to you, and they are probably fully aware of all of this. And let's just say, let's like, okay, let's go out on date night. Oh, let's just do that. But they're coming in from an energy of like, let's say, I would say a degree of maturity that might be like uncomfortable for you and for the relationship for themselves. In other words, let's take the analogy further, like a little watch, like we're watching a little movie. You go on your date night, and they are sitting there with you, and you're cuddling, holding hands, or whatever. And you're having a sweet night or something, and then they come out with some basic stuff that is like, honey, I'm really glad we're doing this, but you have to understand there are certain things that are going on that are not acceptable. Okay, I'm not going to let that ruin the evening. All I want to do is upgrade the relationship and let's say reduce and eliminate and try and mitigate all the things that aren't working, they're not acceptable. And if you want to write a list, go ahead. I will write a list and we'll put that on the table. It's not going to ruin the evening. That's what loving couples do. They manage their relationship. And they do the weeding in the gardening. They do the cleanup campaigns on themselves, on each other, and the relationship to keep it good, because they are very, very welcoming to anything and everything that is good. But you reach certain levels of maturity in relationships where you basically say enough is enough of the stuff that's not cool, and we just can't ignore that anymore. Thank you very much. Okay, so what's for the main course now? In other words, I don't see anything malicious going on here. It's just that there's a lot of, let's say, uh, dignity here that has to be respected between you and the other, and put it into open conversation. There's a lot of communication that I feel is going on here that needs to happen, and it's a culmination of things that have come to the surface that have been building up, and it's about time. Okay, it doesn't have to be you know contentious or anything, because all relationships need work and maintenance, and they need a constant vigilance of making sure that both parties are in alignment. Okay, and then you raise your glass to each other and say, yes, honey, I, the Virgo, I understand what you're talking about, but we're still going to have a fun night. Okay, thank you. Let's have a look deep down inside. Okay. So with the Three of Swords here, deep down Virgo, if you are in a position where, you know how couples do that, where they appreciate and understand, let's say, all the sweet stuff and all the good stuff they have together. But when you get deep into it, every relationship has its stuff in the closet, in the kitchen drawer, up in the attic, up in the basement. That is a problem. That is a challenge. A lot of relationships don't ever deal with it. They just keep going and going and going like this until everything crashes and burns. In a healthy, loving relationship, they account for this. They account for this in each other. They're constantly checking in with each other. Just, how are you doing? Oh, how are you doing? What can I do to help you? What can I do to help you? And in so doing, you're doing the maintenance and the healing and the cleaning up and the constant nurturing that is required in a loving relationship. It's active. It's a living thing. It's like a plant. It's like a business. It always needs attention, resources, and assets. You just can't take this for granted. So my feeling is that if over a period of time or an extended period of time, certain things that are absolutely unacceptable in relationship, in any relationship, have come to the surface, then, or it's coming to the surface, then it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be dealt with. Okay, it's like a really good, honest adult conversation here. So with the Three of Swords, my feeling is right now is that you, Virgo, are deep down aware that there is some kind of triangulation going on, or that there is some kind of, let's say, suppressed or unacknowledged or like a very difficult subject matter that is being avoided, not being dealt with, and you know that, and they know that, but it's almost uh, like live theater where um, it's like you're like your environment is still like encouraging you. It's almost like things are going on around you that make you feel like everything is actually okay. It's okay. We don't actually have to deal with these issues, these problems. But the thing is, eventually, these kind of energies are going to come to the surface, and they're going to need to be dealt with. If you are feeling the energy of triangulation, if there's some people call it cheating, or if there's some kind of difficulty going on in a relationship where, let's say, third party uh, intervention might be required. Maybe you're realizing, Virgo, that there are issues that have been withheld and it's coming to the surface and they are starting to notice it. And no matter how bubbly and things can appear to be, eventually, you know, the awkward stuff comes to the surface and it has to be dealt with. So it's almost like two people who love each other, but are very aware that there's something really wrong. And they're doing it, and they're, let's say, very delicately delving into the exposure of this in a very, let's say, civilized way. Okay, so let's look at deep down inside of them. Okay, so for you, Virgo, remember this is not a couple's reading. It's all about you, but we're accounting for a significant other over here. If a significant other is sort of at the verge of calling you out, calling themselves out, I mean, they could, some people literally call themselves out. I'm not saying this is directed at you, Virgo, like where, a lot of people see this as the healing power of no, the healing power. Some people call this the divorce card, the separation card itself. So, but it doesn't mean it's directed at you. It could be that they are looking for their own way of, it's like their own way out. Maybe they are like looking for a way out and they need to talk about it openly. Maybe you're sensing it, but neither of you actually want to deal with it. So deep down inside, with the Two of Pentacles over here, I'm feeling that this is very difficult, very, very awkward energy, because I feel that there's, I'm not seeing a lot of pentacle cards here or anything. I don't see a lot of cup cards or anything except these here, where the love has to be acknowledged, the relationship and the value of the relationship and the destiny and the status quo of the relationship has to be acknowledged here. And that's actually proving to be extremely difficult for the other party. And they're doing the best that they can. In other words, I think a lot of it is to do with honoring the relationship. So my feeling is that if you're both smiling sweetly at each other, wherein the reality is that there's some stuff buried deep down, which is very, very difficult, very awkward, hard to handle, then it needs to be acknowledged. But I don't think it's going to make any sense or come to any kind of language that you can understand until later in the month, once the sun gets into Pisces and you're into that point of full opposition. So let's have a look. I want to check something here. Okay, over here, down at the bottom. Okay, so there's something really cataclysmic going on here, where it's almost like there's no way to avoid it. There's something, maybe it's simmering. I'm not saying this is the end of the world. There's some pretty scary cards here as far as a lot of tarot readers would see in terms of love and relationship. So I'm not going to try and deny that, okay? However, I'm not going to deny this either, okay? I do see love present. I do see love surrounding you. I do see you surrounded and in an environment of love, okay? Where it's very conducive. And sometimes it's okay, like when you get the Tower here, where things, Tower is not the end of the world, because the beauty of the Tower is that it's one of the most powerful healing cards in the deck, as far as I'm concerned. I'm very into the idea of love and healing and propagating the healing power of love. but that's another video. Okay, so right now with the tower over here at the foundation. Okay, can you see that over here? Okay, that would be the tower here. What's happening, what it looks like is you, Virgo, are witnessing. It's almost like, uh, you know, when you watch on the Weather Channel and you see those people who are caught completely off guard by earthquakes? That's what I think is happening here, where there are certain like telltale signs. You know how animals can sense earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis and storms before humans can. Um, but sometimes humans, we're a little dense. We don't get it until it's like right in our faces. And I think that's kind of what's happening here. There's a kind of a devolution going on where eventually the relationship is showing signs of cracking, like inevitable, irreversible types of cracks. You know, like I think of this as the energy of tectonic plates here. It's too big. Human beings have no say in the matter. Use my hands as tectonic plates. You know what they are. I know you do. And let's say that's California and that's the Pacific plate, you know. It goes like this. And you get your earthquakes and all of that stuff. Okay, it's happening all over the world. The number of earthquakes and everything like that multiplying hugely. So there's a lot of tumultuous change happening at the core of your relationship. It's irreversible. You can't tell a tectonic plate to, you know, step back a little bit. I'm having my lunch. Can't do that. So you're left in a position where you're almost like you're having to, you know, witness. Um, I don't see this as a sudden catastrophic thing here. I see this as an incremental uh, thing that's happening in chunks and steps. You know how you see those in earthquakes, like things that go rumble, 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 gunk, rumble, 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 gunk, rumble, 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 gunk, 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 and stuff happens in chunks. And the thing is, uh, so these kind of things aren't fixable. But the beauty is, it's just like whatever you're left with at the end of it, there is like you have. It's like, what do they call it? Out of the bad comes the good. Out of the demolition, out of the destruction comes the new material for the new growth. Obviously, it's not very visible or evident here, but that's the outcome of the tower is like the aftermath. If you think of the aftermath. All right, so let's just keep going on to this section here, okay? And the aftermath leaves you very, very, very puzzled. You, the other, and the relationship itself, almost like, what on earth are we going to do? To me, it has multiple meanings here. It's just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And it's just like, oh my gosh, well, what am I going to do? And then, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Because I don't see that this is anything really malicious or vicious or nasty going on here. I just think it's like the journey of life and love and relationship, where people get in these situations where certain truths are exposed, and then you have to deal with it at some point. You know, some people just keep burying anything that doesn't feel right or feel good, and they conduct themselves in a like going through the motions of love and relationship. Whereas if this is what's actually happening, going on, and then you actually get what we could call some kind of breakdown of some kind, you or them or the relationship or something, and then kerblam, what comes out of it, just like any kind of cataclysmic event, you end up with a whole pile of rubble and new information, new paradigms, and you start to see like life before this and life after this. So I think this is very much related to the time period after the new moon, okay, after the eclipse over here, okay, towards the middle and towards the end of the month. So when you get to the 18th and the 19th of February, please allow for about a 4-week period, or let's just say a 2-week period till you get to the next new moon. Okay, so living through a 2-week period here, my feeling is that this is going to make a lot more sense to you by the middle of February. Okay, but it might not make any sense to you right now because you're in this. You know, there's sweet stuff out there. And you know what? I'm not trying to like over dramatize things, but uh, like earthquakes can happen on very, very beautiful days. Okay? Beautiful, beautiful, amazing, beautiful days. And then kerblam, you get the cataclysmic event. With hurricanes, it's different. Of course, it's just hideous. Okay? But I'm thinking of this more like earthquake stuff, where it's just a beautiful day and everyone is like basically living according to whatever they've known up to this point, the destiny that they've created, and the innocence of what lies ahead that they don't yet know. And then kerblam, the truth is exposed, and then you're left with the aftermath. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? Oh gosh. So I think this is a very open-ended reading where a lot of shift and change is going to happen. Okay. Thank you so much, Virgo. I hope I didn't scare you. Uh, just, if you have to, check it with Tarot Illumination. Check the links below. We'll sort this out together. All right. Bye-bye. Oh, hold on, hold on. I want to leave this over here for you so you don't get all depressed and miserable. Okay? This is just one little tarot reading, and this too shall change. All right? Okay? Thank you so, so much. Bye bye.